Jerker.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Foolery podcast. I am one of your co-hosts. This is not a typical day in the office. Usually I am partnered with Alyssa, but if you're seeing this, that means we are without her for the day, but we didn't want to let you guys go without. So, okay, come here just for a second. This is a very unplanned situation. I did manage to come up with a couple of topics, so let's just jump right into it. One of the first things I found super funny is I was going to tell you guys about my week. If you guys caught up with the last episode, you would have peeped how Alyssa requested that we didn't ask how each other's weeks went anymore because sometimes they just suck. And I feel that. This week for me wasn't too bad. I'm not going to lie to you guys. A couple of weeks ago, my anxiety started to kind of creep back in. I did touch on this a couple episodes ago, mentioning that I do battle with anxiety. And it was actually funny, sidebar, the first episode we did, I was like tripping off camera in the beginning. It started off very anxious nerves. And that's kind of how my weeks were running the last couple of weeks. But, right, it's like just like the yin to the yang of that is I've also been waking up and throughout my days like equally excited, if that makes sense. I've been so excited about the holidays. So throughout the week, that's another thing. It's a huge component right now. I wake up, I just feel like this anxiety, excitement of like, you know, like when you're about to like go on vacation, like that feeling like there's just something in the air that feels different. The minute I wake up, I think about just the holidays and iced coffee and bomb ass playlist. That's pretty much the week, you know. Other than that, you know, I've been chilling. I'm just like relaxing right now. There's a day off this week, so I'm excited about that. We got a lot of cleaning done yesterday, and I kind of just been catching up on TV shows and editing videos and things like that. So the week's been cool. The weeks has been cool. I would call Alyssa, phone her in, and ask her how her week is, but she might just cuss me out. So I'm gonna leave it alone. If you guys made it this far and seeing how my week went, thank you. But also overall, I just want to give a big ass thank you to everybody who checks in with us and engages with us and watches our videos. We've been really enjoying ourselves. It's a new project. We're still figuring out how things flow, even down to remembering simple things like our intros or saying our names and things like that. So this, you know, if you're at the beginning stages with us, we just appreciate you guys, and we hope that you'll continue to come back and see our progress and what we bring to the channel. Okay, now further ado, let's jump into the first segment. Okay, so for today's topic, I did want to go ahead and jump into a new segment that we haven't done called Secret Secret. That was me just naming it Secret Secret, honestly, but I will be pulling these secrets from Reddit. If you guys have not checked out Reddit, please go do so. There are some very fascinating, extremely dark, extremely funny, twists and turns, fun fact ass articles that you probably haven't even heard before. So, like I said, just go ahead and check it out. That's what I'll be utilizing today, and let's jump into it. Okay, so the title's already pretty dark. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, trigger warning. This is kind of about, I don't even know what's safe to say on here as far as words that can get flagged or not, but like the death emoji and the knife emoji and picture somebody breathless and no pulse. Let's jump right into it. This was posted 1 day ago, so I don't know how new this is. I have not read it yet. I just honestly pulled it up as something to talk about with y'all, so let's dive into it. The title is called, I told a suicidal, the word suicidal is quoted, I told a suicidal family member the truth and said everybody would be better off if they had killed themselves, and they went on and did it. I don't even feel any remorse. That's the title in itself, babe. That's crazy. That's actually uncomfortable. And the more I think about it, I'm wondering if this is even something that I should like engage in on the podcast. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me just jump in. So the first, and mind you, this is a pretty lengthy little situation, and there's a lot of comments on it already. So this person says, I'll try and keep it short, but you need a little bit of the backstory to understand what I told him and why. So sorry for the long read. I have been through it twice now, just trying to cut it off to make it shorter. And then it quotes and says, the family relations have been changed, altered, just in case anybody wondered who I am. Okay, so basically they're saying not too much on me, baby. You ain't about to catch me up at all. Okay, let's go. So I don't know. I shouldn't be giggling because this is crazy. Sorry, I had to like fix the camera. But let's start off. So it says, my brother-in-law Mark, and Mark is quoted like it's supposed to be the name, but then the part before that said I'm going to be like altering the story, so I wonder if Mark is even his real name. But it says, my brother-in-law Mark, his marriage broke down, which we believed was due to him becoming an alcoholic and a drug addict. We had all been trying to get him help until it came out that he had actually beaten his wife 4 times, and the final time she ended up in the hospital with a broken orbital bone. I wonder which bone that is, or like what that means. I'll have to look that up. He was no longer allowed to see his children or be near them. Damn. It gets like that. It gets like that. Because what are you doing? He then went to stay with his aunt, who is 83. I'm wondering already, like, I'm already like foreshadowing, like maybe him doing something or getting smart with the aunt, because this person mentioned the age, and I got the vibes of like this poor old lady, you know, like him taking advantage or doing something crazy. Okay, so let's see. One night she called and said, could you come around? Okay. See, I already called it out. One night she called and said, could you come around? He's smashing up the place and I don't know what to do. She didn't want to call the police, but we did on our way over. Cause duh, if you was beating your wife, you beating your aunt, smashing up all her shit. Well, not too much on beating, because I don't know if he beat her, but you're smashing up all her shit. Why wouldn't we call the cops? And honestly, I think it's crazy that whole, like, when people take don't snitch too far. Like, if you're putting your hands on me, babe, I'm calling the cops. Like, what are we talking about? Like, okay, so going back to the story. So, you know, they called the cops when they were on their way over. We turned up and he was sat in the garden in handcuffs, screaming abuse at us and the police. He smashed up her kitchen and was off his face on drugs and alcohol, basically. They use drugs and drink, but I think that drugs and drink just sounds funny rather than just saying drugs and alcohol. But anyway, so it says, she didn't press charges and had him back in a few weeks. Now that's crazy, babe. No, that's crazy. Did you take him back before your kitchen got fixed? Priorities? No, I'm just kidding. But then I have to think about it. Just considering the fact that I too have nephews, being that, and I'm bringing this up because that lady that let that guy come back, she is the aunt. Like, that's his aunt, that's her nephew. So I'm trying to think if I would allow this to happen in my house by my nephew and the things that I would do. And off tops, keep him. Matter of fact, exactly, keep him, because I would have pressed charges. She didn't. I would have. Because what are you doing? The fuck? I don't care. Not too much on me. I never played. You're going to jail. Nephew or not, babe? What? She just, you know, she let him back in the house just a few weeks later. Let's see here. We kept popping in and calling just to make sure she was okay, and she seemed that she was. We called social services anyway and reported it as elder abuse. Wait a second, though. Hold on. We kept popping in and calling to make sure she was okay, and she seemed it. We called social services anyway and reported it as elderly abuse. Why are you doing too much now? There was literally nothing wrong. Unless
she was hoaxed into telling y'all a lie, and she only got to eat 1 corn chip a day with tap water and no baths. And they felt the energy and the vibe, so they called social services anyway.
Plot twist. Okay, let's get back into the story. Okay, this is the part that I don't understand. Mind you, I am reading something that somebody else typed up. So y'all let me know if this makes sense to me. I'm just like, huh? So it says, we kept popping in and calling, making sure she was okay, and she seemed it. We called social services anyway and reported it as elderly abuse. However, they said it wasn't after an investigation. Oh, they're saying it was an elderly abuse after they did an investigation. I think that's what they're saying. Anyway, it says, this caused a rift between us. I don't know what that means. So then it says, 7 to 8 months had passed when she phoned again, saying he was threatening to kill her cat if she didn't give him money. We went around, and this time not calling the police, because I wanted to beat the shit out of him if I was being honest. Straight up. So then it says, we turned up and he had gone, but had kicked the cat. She said he had started to smash the house up because she wouldn't give him her debit card to go buy drugs. So, rule number one to be a boss ass, never let a... Okay, so rule number one. I'm sorry, this might be controversial. Please don't cancel your girl. However, if it's getting to this extreme, now there's levels of extreme and there's also levels of helping people. Me personally, I don't think I would have let a user of any kind come and stay with me, especially depending on the path that they're on. You are smashing up my kitchen. You are threatening to kill my cat. You kicked my cat. And now you're still in my house, by the way, and you are threatening me to give you money. No. No. And also, sidebar, you guys, this goes for any walk of life. This is not just people who are having a battle with addiction or anything like that. Whoever walks into your life who might be going through a troubled situation or what have you, help them in the ways that you can. I feel like a lot of times the people that need help might be upset that you're not helping them in the way that they're wanting. And I think in that case, you feel guilty. You feel guilty. Like, for instance, this is her nephew. This is her blood nephew. Like, and then I'm older. Maybe she owns her house, or maybe she's in a position where she can take care of him. But then there's like, what's the cost? At what risk? Like, he is not appreciative of this. I don't even think he's in the space to be able to accept help, babe. And that's just that on that. But going back to what I was saying, it's okay to help people in multiple different ways. Like, for instance, if somebody needs help financially, but you don't have the money to do it, and you could help in other ways, whether it be a pep talk, inviting them over for dinner, or whatever the case is, don't feel bad that you weren't able to give them $20. And for this case scenario, girl, you would have got kicked out. I wouldn't have cared. Like, what are you talking about? There's nothing that he would have been able to do to make me feel guilty about asking you to leave. You threatened to kill my cat. Are you cool? What? Stressing me out. We're about to jump right back into it. I'm just going to go ahead and reread what I read before I went into a whole other rant. But expect the rants throughout this, because this is crazy. So it says, she said he started to smash the house up because she wouldn't give him her debit card to go buy drugs. Then said he was going to strangle the cat. He'd actually taken random stuff from the kitchen we later found to sell. The part where it says we later found to sell is quoted, or in parentheses. My bad. Wait. Quotations is quoted. Parentheses, are quotations and parentheses both quoted? I forget. Anyway, that we later found was to sell. And also found out over time he had stolen other items just to sell them. Things like DVDs, DVD players. We called the police, who had already picked him up due to another issue. Okay, so we called the police, who had already picked him up for another issue. She said, it's not his fault, but he really scares me. Baby, one thing about it, do not keep calling my phone and making excuses for homeboy at the same time, nephew or not. It's not his fault. Whose fault is it? Should I have an issue with you or him? No, it's not his fault, but he just really scares me. She then said she'd take him back still because she doesn't know where he'd go. And I find that a lot of the times troubled teens or people who have addiction or battle with that type of stuff, I find that their support system kind of in turn, it does enable that person who's lashing out, but it's usually due to that same exact reason. Like, I don't know where they'd go. It's like, just to keep a pinch of control, the ounce of control you get, you put up with so much, them breaking your things, you going broke because you're fucking fending for your lifestyle, plus their lifestyle, plus to keep them alive, plus to get them out of trouble, and just all the things, and just to have that pinch of say, that pinch of control, or just to, like I said, that safety net of knowing where they're at, or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? Yeah, anyway, let's just jump right back into it here. yeah. So then it says he got a suspended sentence due to the other issue said above. So I'm assuming it's when the police picked him up about that one issue that they said, but they never mentioned what the issue was, so eesh. But then he went back to live with his aunt anyways. So this is now the second time he got to return just within this article alone. That's crazy, because ain't no way. We called social services again at this point and the police for elder abuse. While they were investigating, she sadly had a stroke and ended up going to live with another family member. The plan was to sell her house and for her to pay to live in assisted accommodations. However, he refused to move out, and then one night smashed 3 of her windows, along with a TV and a display cabinet she had. So like one of those china cabinets, or the little CD holders. He was then sent to probation for 6 months. Probation? Judge, is you cool? What? Look at the track record. Probation? I would have taken at least 6 months of rehab. Something with some regulation and some therapy, maybe a place to process your feelings. Shit, golly. Anyway, during this time we kept going to visit her and we became really close. She ended up moving in with us. She sold her house and split the money between her other family members and used $3,000 to $4,000 on small adaptations to our house, like a wheelchair ramp, etc., etc. Okay, so interesting that she did all this within 6 months. That's cool, unless the time period just wasn't expressed. But this part says she kept in contact with Mark at first, but she said it was because she was worried about him and what he would do if she stopped talking to him. We tried to help, but she kept refusing. Okay, even though if I was her support system, I wouldn't have wanted her to have anything to do with him, I still can understand just wanting to know how somebody is doing. So that's really all I could say about that. I don't know if I would have done letters, maybe email, maybe a phone call. I don't know. But also, too, just to try to stay cordial with a person, because, again, you never know what he would do. So I can understand her way of thinking in that way. But I also could understand her support system being like, no, don't do it. We're done with him type of thing. Oh my gosh. So this part says he came to a family party once and saw her. It ended up in an argument, sadly, because he said to another family member, and this part's quoted, "Those are controlling her. Those are controlling her. She wants to give me money, but they won't let her. I could have had that house if it wasn't for them. This okay, so then quotes have ended, quotation marks closed. This resulted in families sticking up for us and asking him to leave." Okay, so then it goes and says, after she went, she said to us, "Man, I can't stand him. I don't even want to see him anymore." You go, Granny. Auntie. Fuck. So, I don't even want to see him anymore. Please don't let him into this house if he comes around. And that's on my soul, period. Okay, let me see. If he comes around. That's all we needed to hear. So we blocked him. And then it says he contacted us multiple times. That's why I'm confused, because if y'all blocked him, at what part did y'all know he was contacting y'all? But okay, whatever. So anyway, he contacted us multiple times and we said no. He then left us a voicemail saying he was going to slit my parents' throat if we didn't allow him to visit her. We contacted the police and even contacted Social Security. What was it, Social Security? Because now it said, at first it was being spelled out, now it literally says SS. Social services, my bad. I'm talking about some Social Security. We contacted the police and even contacted social services again, who agreed it was elder abuse and helped us. A few months later, she sadly passed away. 24 hours before she passed, on her deathbed, she actually said, "I think that the stroke was because of him. He scared me so much. I tried to help him, but he didn't want it." Followed by, "I hate him for what he did to my home. I hope he rots." Okay, so now, mind you guys, this is almost over. So now it says he didn't turn up to the funeral, but turned up a few days later at my workplace, drugged off his face again. I spoke to him shortly during my lunch hour. I wish I would. Security! Security! Get this fool off the premises! But also, here, give him this because he needs some lunch. That's probably how I would have handled it. Because ain't no way. Ain't no motherfucking way. But anyway, let's see. I spoke to him shortly during my lunch hour where he said, "She was the world to me, the only person that ever believed in me. I love her like a mom." M-U-M. "I'd have done anything for that woman, and she'd have done anything for me." And she would have, what she was doing, and you were ungrateful for, young sir. What the hell? Didn't you try to kill my cat? Okay. And she would have done anything for me. Then said, "I'd have killed myself if it wasn't for her." I lost it. I said, "She hated your guts. She hated you in the end. Do you know she laid on her deathbed hours from death, and the only time she mentioned you was to say she blamed you for her stroke. You treated her like utter shit. You smashed up her home to the point that she was scared to even go back to live in it." I'm talking about clock that tea. Goodness. Okay, where did I leave off at? Like a mom, blah, blah, blah. She said, okay. Maybe you should have killed yourself and left her and everybody else the hell alone. Even your kids would have been better off without you. After that, I got up and walked off. As you guessed by the title, he did. He killed himself the very next day. I only even told 2 people the final part, and one said you only told him the truth, and the other called me a monster. I believe both points of view, but I don't regret it. I think there would be a lot of guilt in this, even before this person said what they said to the guy. I think there would have been a lot of guilt just feeling that idea without even vocalizing your thoughts, because it's like, how do I wish a death on somebody type of vibe. But I think there's a pinch in there that this person, and honestly all people involved, got to a point where they're like, it's so much drama. It's scary. It's uncomfortable to live a life in fear of my own, but also for other people who associate themselves with him. I feel like there's a point where you almost kind of try to like look at all your blocks, and you think about what would be the next option. What is the only option? And then you think dark thoughts like that. Like you should, DIE or whatever the case is, And though it doesn't sound like it was this person's idea, it was the guy's idea, and this person just agreed to it. I don't know why I keep calling it she, because I don't know that they ever, confirmed who they are, like the gender. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sad for them. I'm sad for all of them. I'm sad that the lady in her last years of life sounds like she went through a lot just trying to get people on the right track. And then I also feel like there's a part of the 83-year-old aunt where it's like you want your family to be good, not only in general, but with each other as a family before you leave. And so just to know that like the family is split up in all these ways, or there is a black sheep around, I think there's a part in you that just wants to be the glue, and you want to, you just want everything to be in good standing. And so it just sucks that it seemed like that aunt spent the time to do that and it didn't go that way. And then in turn, you lose your house, you have this stroke, and then you die a year later. It's just very, very, very upsetting. And I'm sorry for the guy that was involved too, maybe had he got the right help to get clean, or to get maybe like a mental diagnosis, or somebody, not so much like a caregiver, but I guess a caregiver, somebody to just kind of watch him. But we're not all blessed with that, unfortunately. And yeah, so if this was true, a part of me was thinking, you know, AI is a crazy thing and people get darker, trying to come up on a quick coin. And maybe this was a cool little way to post an article that is like a little bit fake. Because like, this is like a bit much. But if it is real, breaks my heart, definitely, for all parties involved, because that's just crazy. But I will close out here. You guys let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully in the next video we will see Alyssa. This was just something to get us by until me and her reunited again. So, okay, I'll close out here. Bye, guys!